So, Julia, you're a national speaker and you wrote a best-selling book on Christian leadership. And we're talking about Christian leadership today. And your book is called Dream, I Dare You. I'm curious, Julia, and I know you speak all over the nation in the US. How did that dream passion, or how did you get wired to awaken dreams in people?
Well, I think it was the same. It's truly the same answer that I would say for anybody. It was in my quiet desperation, Patricia. So I was at a point in my life where I had achieved what most call statewide the American dream, right? Where they tell you, here, do all of these things and you'll be successful and happy. And at that point in our lives, we were doing all of those things, right? We were building our business. We had bought the house, the 2.5 cars. We were doing all the things that people tell us to do. And yet we were crawling into bed each night saying, God, is there something more? There has to be something more. And it led my husband and I on a journey to be crazy enough where we sold everything. And you and I talked about this last time, but we started traveling the country in an RV. And that was my great awakening. And I just realized that I had been doing so many of the things that I wanted to do, but they were in the box of my control. They were in the box of my own strength. They were checking the box of all the things that people tell you to do. But where God was really telling me was to get out of the boat, to dream boldly with him, to go where I'd never gone, to do something that I had never done. And it was just that simple question of, God, is there something more, that's taken us on a journey of a lifetime, truly being able to see God do something dramatically through our yes and our obedience and staying the course, to your point of not willing to give up when it got hard, not willing to give up in the chaos, not willing to give up when the enemy was creating these stop losses along the way and making it look like it was impossible. And so here we are now in a place where we get to support people in the framework of dreaming boldly with God and teaching them how to arise and align and ultimately see heaven on earth.
Oh, lovely. Arise and align. I love that. And it's not really about the destination, actually. It's about the journey with God. It's about hearing, obeying, and implementing. I mean, as simple, but it's not that simple sometimes. It takes time and it takes courage. And like you say, hell breaks loose sometimes. And then even the people who love you out of love, they'll tell you, like, you're working too much. Are you sure this is from God? You should chill and, take it easy. But we know in our heart that God put something in there. And I don't know what God put in your heart, and you don't know what God put in my heart, but only we know. And God will give us the signs and the confirmation. And it takes time. Really takes time. But here we are on our journey trying to do what God calls us to do, because we are convinced this is what we are supposed to do. And I love reading what's behind you. Dream bold. And we should dream bold. I don't think there's a small dream. It should be big, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's so funny that you say that. And so for me, I'm actually not a big proponent in this idea of dreaming big. I think that we can get caught up in my dream versus your dream. How big is my dream versus their dream? And it takes us down this path of comparison, right? Comparison to other people's dreams. And we're starting to look at metrics. And, and to your point, the men of faith that went before us, Abraham, Moses, right? These were men of faith who did such big things that they didn't even get to see the fulfillment of it in their lifetime. Because oftentimes when you start dreaming with God, it's bigger than we can see in our own right little time and space. And so all he's asking is to let him be a big God and do big things. And all that means is I just need to dream bold. And that word boldness actually means the willingness to just say yes. It doesn't mean that I'm going to feel like I could storm the gates and I'm the most courageous thing. Oftentimes it's just your willingness to say, okay, God, I'll go when I'm afraid. I'll go when I don't always know the next 4 steps. I'll go because you've asked me to do it. And so when we dream bold, we see God do big things, but it's just because we're willing to say yes in the small things. It's just the small things.
Yes, I love that. And our dreams are like pieces of puzzle, like your dream and my dream, because God has a purpose that we cannot understand. But he's telling you to do something. He's telling someone to do other things. He's telling me to do some other things. And then he puts all the pieces together. And we don't understand like the fruits, the results, but he knows the end from the beginning. And we just obey. And like you say, it's not big based on comparison, my standards, like, how much business or whatever. It's not that, but it's big in the sense that that's what God calls you to do.
Yeah. And I think, again, if we were to put together a formula here, it would be that we serve a big God who's asking me to dream bold dreams so that I, like him, can live big. Right. So that's where you loop it together. We have a big God who I am made in the image of God. And so my big God is asking me to walk boldly in my dreams so I can live big as a reflection of him, which is really, to your point, that's the point. Yes, having a dream is going to create an incredible impact for the kingdom. There's no questions asked. That's why we live into these dreams. And you and I also know that the day-to-day grind in life can be really hard sometimes. And if I'm going to live it, I want my life to be great too. And so having a dream now allows me to be able to be resourced and to make my life as beautiful as I possibly can. So it's a both and. It's a heavenly impact while also making the most out of the life that I've been given.
Yes, and I think sometimes we're being judged if we like comfort, if we like certain things, and why is it when it's the world who are very wealthy, it's normal, but when Christians are prosperous, then they're being judged, especially if they're like pastors and preachers. And I mean, I don't know why that is. I mean,